Now, you did mention the Yankees, and they're another team that I wanted to talk about because, my goodness, like Cam Schlittler and Max Fried, those two guys have looked like studs so far. This could be one of the best rotations in baseball. What are your thoughts about the New York Yankees?
I feel like the Yankees are the most complete team in the AL as of now. I think the biggest issue may be their bullpen, but that's something you can fix in the trade deadline.
Yeah.
I don't think
and
that's
you can
any
work on that all summer.
Right. But the pitching staff, you're gonna have Garrett Cole come back. You're gonna have Carlos Rodon come back.
Like, Jesus Christ, when you have those four, I mean, I have long been a bandwagon guy on the Mariners pitching rotation, but I'm telling you, with those four, that might be better.
I think it's still early, but because I want to see what Hancock looks like. I want to see what that looks like because he pitched great in his
he did
debut, and that's not like a one-time thing. It was in the spring he was doing very well as well. So we'll see with that. But as we saw with the weekend, like the series they had just now, the Yankees are just more complete and they're just better. So, like I said, they have the hitting, pitching is great. Bullpen is kind of work in progress, but if you're gonna have weakness, have the middle bullpen part, and you'll be fine. So the Yankees, as of now, as present constructed, I believe they're the best team.
Yeah, the one glaring hole to me is still shortstop. But getting back to this pitching rotation, I mean, when you get those two guys back, Rodon and Cole, you still have Will Warren and you still have Ryan Weathers. Ryan Weathers has been kind of like the talk of the spring. I know that he has been each of the last like 2 or 3 years as well, but then would it inevitably get hurt while he was down in South Florida. But who's the odd man out when those guys get back? Are you moving Weathers maybe to the closer role?
Well, Bednar. So I could see that. Maybe I don't see Weathers as a closer.
And I realize he's in the role, and he has, he's been a closer now for 4 or 5 years. But for some reason, in my mind, I'm always like, man, you got to upgrade that.
Yeah, Weathers feels like more in the Luis Hill role from last year in the postseason, like just middle relief.
And that's a dude that's down in the minor. He was rookie of the year a couple years ago, and now he's in the minors.
Yeah, but he's the unofficial fifth starter. They don't need a fifth starter for a while, so I believe he'll come up when the time is up.
Where do you put him though? Like when you get Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, you've got and Cam Schlittler's pitching like a freaking ace.
Yeah,
I mean this guy like through 16 total starts in the big leagues right now. You're talking about a guy that's 10.5 strikeouts per 9, an ERA of 2.5. Like that's an ace. That's 4 aces.
I mean, they don't. And the funny thing is, Yankee fans were like furious that they didn't bring no new pieces in. They just brought everybody back essentially, especially when Goldschmidt came back. Everybody like, really, we're gonna do this again? And they made the right move. I'm not ready to give Cashman any credit.
Yeah,
but
he does have a couple of world championships ahead of us, though.
Yeah, that's like 15 years ago. What is it? 15, 16 years ago now. So it's been a while. And their manager, I mean, his thing was always arguing balls and strikes. And now you have the ABS system. Maybe we need to apologize to him because they're like the most efficient.
I think he just likes to argue. Yeah. Well, and then Forza Napoli says, is Ben Rice the real deal? I mean, he's hitting over 400 right now.
Yeah, still early, but his peripherals has always been great, and people that like gas back like us and do their research and are into fantasy and stuff like that, they always prop him up, and rightfully so, because the StatCast, everything it backs up. He's legit,
and he doesn't strike out. Like this guy, he had a sub 20%, mid 15, mid-teens strikeout percentage throughout the minor leagues. He's kind of trending back in that direction this year. Obviously when you make that first step up into the big leagues, there's an adjustment period. Right. And so like those that in 2024, he had a 27% K rate. Last year, that was down to 18.9. And right now through the first week, it's down to 14%. So kind of more in line with where he was in the minor leagues. I think this guy's legit. He's one of those guys that I love to root for as well, because he wasn't a big pedigree guy. This was a guy that, is a 12th round pick, coming out of a small college, Dartmouth. I was trying to remember where he came from. So he wasn't coming from one of those big, high profile colleges. He wasn't, a top, first round pick or anything. This is a guy that's had to fight and battle for his role his entire life. He's never been one of those pedigree guys. And I mean, he's really breaking out, looking like a stud there, playing first base for this New York Yankees team. I love Ben Rice. I love Jazz Chisholm. Of course, everybody loves Aaron Judge. I think there's a lot to like in this Yankee lineup. What do you feel about Ben Rice?
Ben Rice has had an interesting career. And when he was in the minors, it was like, I don't know if it was a bit of shuffling or a comparison, like him in between Augustine Ramirez. Like they were, it was always those pairing and like which one would come up and who would surpass who. And then when Ben Rice made his, had his cup of coffee, he had a game where he hit 3 home runs. I don't know if you recall that. He hit 3 home runs in the game at Yankee Stadium, and everybody was hyped up about that. And, he went on a poor streak, like you said. It's like ebb and flow with him, like up and downs. But when he got his footing, when he settled in and calmed down, that's when he started seeing his ascension, essentially.
Yeah.
So he always had potential. His bat to ball skills is elite. I just think just keep him in the line. I know you have to play Goldschmidt and try to figure that out, but I would love to see him play regularly against lefties.
Yeah, I think Goldschmidt kind of knows his role and was comfortable in coming back to the Yankees as kind of that veteran leadership type role. I think he knew coming in what the situation was going to be. My biggest concerns right now for the Yankees is that shortstop position. I mean, like right now you got Jose Caballero going out there every day, and then you're going to have Anthony Volpe coming back. Like Anthony Volpe is not a starting shortstop in Major League Baseball, in my opinion. So if you're going to run him out there every day, you better be getting some offense from other places.
It's not even that. The defense,
and his defense was terrible. Yeah.
During the playoffs, it was bad. I'm not one to feel
not
bad
just during the playoffs, man. This guy was not a shortstop last year.
But it was highlighted in the playoffs. Like it was so glaring. I think didn't even get a hit in the playoffs. It was like really bad to the point where it's like the announcers had to say something. But people
have been atrocious. Like he is a below league average hitter every year of his career. His highest WRC plus in his career was 87 in 2024. Like this guy, I mean, he's never had over a 400 slug. I mean, he's not a major league hitter. If this guy was not one of those pedigree guys, he would have been run out of town so long ago.
Yeah. So
like, come on.
So it'll be interesting to see, like when we get closer, it's very early to tell, but when we get closer to the deadline, who's even available?
Well, and that's the problem. There weren't many shortstops available in the free agent market. I mean, you had Ha-Seong Kim, but now he's hurt.
Yeah.
Outside of him, there was really nothing. And even if you look at the trade market, the teams that, like the teams that were at the bottom of this, I talked about this last year at the kind of the trade deadline, because we were trying to, on our New York Power Hour show, which airs on Wednesday nights. During that show, we were talking about available shortstops closer to the deadline. And I was kind of pointing out that these teams that were at the bottom of the standings, the shortstops that they had were kind of the guys that were young and you were building your team around. So they weren't going to be available. And so like there wasn't really much available in the trade market. I just feel like the Yankees have put themselves in a very difficult position right now.
I mean, unless they're going to call up George Lombard, I don't.
And I got to tell you, like, I'm not a George Lombard fan. Like, if you look at his numbers, he's getting the Yankee hype.
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't put Jazz back at shortstop. That doesn't seem like a good idea.
I mean, it's been 4 or 5 years now since he's played shortstop? Like,
yeah. So they're kind of stuck there. So that is a big glaring weakness because shortstop is the most important position in regards to defense. So but I think the Yankees are just, as of now, as we speak, obviously things can change. I think they're just the best team. like like outside of shortstop. Obviously,
I'm just trying to find a weakness.
I mean, it's a weakness, and when playoffs come, it's a short series, 5-7
find you.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, good luck. Yeah, I know we have Yankee fans in here, so and so good luck, I guess. But I mean, you guys, you're the Yankees. Like, figure it out. I will never feel sorry for the Yankees. I feel bad for Volpe, but because he's in a bad spot. But the Yankees as a whole, figure it out. You guys have money. You have the resources. Yeah. And also,
absolutely. And they do have prospect capital that they could make a deal too. I just don't know what shortstops are going to be available in even the trade market.
And you mentioned the trade market, and the issue is under this system where there's 12 teams in the playoffs, teams are less willing to trade because they think they have a chance.
Mm-hmm. So and that was the whole reason by expanding the playoffs.
Yeah. So the trade market has dried up, and the bottom of the bottom teams, they're not going to trade their young stud. So your best chance is getting a vet.
The Angels are not
Kim, but he's hurt. No.
The A's are not trading Jacob Wilson. Like, all the bottom teams have a young shortstop that they're going to build around, or they have no shortstop at all. Like, I mean, who do the White Sox have out there at shortstop? I mean,
Chase
or Colorado. Well, Colorado has
Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, these teams aren't going to trade young players that they can build their roster around. Usually, if they're going to trade a guy, it's going to be somebody that they brought in the offseason, or a guy that's at the end of the of their arbitration years or something like that. And I just don't see the trade market being really good for the shortstop position. So I don't know what they can do there. Ryan McMahon, I was pretty critical of last year, but at least he plays plus defense for the Yankees. And so that is a redeeming quality for him. I don't think he's much of a hitter. And I think at third base, you need a hitter. I would have liked to have seen them address that a little more in the offseason, but it is what it is right now.
Yeah, but even then, like you said, McMahon, he plays great defense and okay hitter, but he's not a weakness. And you still have Jason Dominguez, who's looked like he's breaking in the minors, but there's no spot for him. So this team is very deep.
That guy get a full season of bats.
Right. So him a step against lefties. Apparently he stinks as a switch hitter. So.
And we let off this segment talking about kind of like the elite pitching that the Yankees have.